Good evening and welcome to Adventures in Lollygagging. I'm Aaron and I'm going to be your game master tonight. We are back from our holiday hiatus, back to Cubicle 7's Warhammer 40K Wrath and Glory. Last few sessions we were kind of cutting our teeth on the rules and we were doing a takedown of a Space Hulk. So if you missed those sessions, what happened was our team was brought together to be troubleshooters for the Veronius Flotilla rogue trader family. Their mission was to travel throughout the Gilead system wherever they were needed to put out small fires to ensure that the sovereignty and security of the Imperium was maintained. They were brought together by Helene Veronius, who was basically their handler, and they spent several months doing menial tasks. You know, they were liaising between the Veronius flotilla and various factions of the Gilead system. They were dealing with tithing issues, etc. And then they were called up for their first serious mission. A ship, the Throne's Tears, which had been originally part of the Veronius flotilla, had disappeared shortly before they were making the transition from the warp into the Gilead system. And then months later, it reappears at the fringes of the Gilead system on a collision course with the Shrine World of Enoch. And our team was dispatched aboard a gun cutter being piloted by a Navy flyer to get out to the Throne's Tears, determine whether or not it could be salvaged. If it could be salvaged, they were to park it in a far system orbit, get the command crew, and particularly the navigator, off the ship. Beric Talif was going to stay to make sure the ship's systems were maintained, and Sister Celeste was going to stay to make sure that everyone was cared for, or Sister Nura. But as they got into the ship, they were met by the dock crew. The dock crew, led by Miss LeBeau, let them know that they were really, really happy that they were here. They had been cut off from the rest of the ship for hours, although months had passed since the ship disappeared. And they told you how to navigate through the ship, how to get to the engineer room, how to get to the bridge, how to get to the ancillary bridge. They make their way deeper into the dormitory areas. They were also told that a sister hospitaler had been down here setting a broken leg, and that she had taken the people who were off duty, who were showing signs of sickness, into the infirmary. They go to liaise with this sister hospitaler before they make their way deeper into the ship, only to find that she has been infected or infested with the plague rot of Nurgle. She had turned on them, that her holy relic chain sword had been corrupted. There was a horrible fight. There were some serious injuries. They were able to defeat her. She was pulled into the warp by these Nurglings. They fell back, they rested, then they made their way deeper into the ship. They got to the ancillary bridge, where they found a Slaaneshi cultist who had been attempting to shut the Geller fields off around the ship, which is what caused the initial issue. They also found another Inquisitorial interrogator who had stopped him. They found out some information about the Slaaneshi cultists, that they were doing some investigations into some old Inquisitorial files by Ravenar and Eisenhorn into the forbidden language of Enuncia and the cult of the Cognite. Then they made their way on deeper in to the ship. They eventually made their way to the bridge, where they found that the entire bridge crew was dead. There was a servo skull floating around the captain. They were able to get some information from it. And then the navigator popped out, utterly and completely corrupted by Nurgle. And the plan and the plot between this Nurgle infestation and the Slaaneshi cultists kind of came gestalted into a better understanding. They were going to fly the throne's tiers into Enoch. And right as it breached the system's atmosphere, they were going to transition to the warp and blow the warp engines, creating a new warp gate, much like the Eye of Terra, an ability for demons to flood through the Gilead system unchecked. They were able to defeat the Navigator, and then as he erupted into a demonic form, they were able to beat it down as well. They set the engines to explode. They pulled back into the docking bay. They saw their Navy pilot was still conversing with these dock handlers, telling them everything was going to be okay. Gavious Vintael, then, our Inquisitorial interrogator, made the decision, invoked the Inquisitorial seal, and condemned these people to death. The crew boarded the gun cutter, fled, the ship exploded, and the shrine world of Enoch was saved. And that is where we cut off last session. So about a week has passed, and we're going to get a little bit, we're going to have a couple of vignettes, a couple of little cut scenes with some of the characters, and then we'll get the introduction of the rest of the characters, and then we're going to dive right into our new adventure. So about a week has passed, and Gavious, it's been a quiet week for you. You've been somewhat isolated. You're on the ship where you've got your quarters is on the flagship of the Veronius fleet. And like I said, it's been about a week, and you walk back into your quarters. And as you walk through the door, you're immediately suffocated. Your ability to touch the warp is completely isolated. You feel like your mind is shrunk down into your body. It's almost like you're in a straitjacket. You haven't felt this way since your powers first came on. You stumble for a moment. You feel sick to your stomach. A nausea is rising up in your throat. It's something horrible, something that shouldn't be, is pushing against you and forcing the warp powers away from you. As you glance up through teary eyes, you see sitting in front of you at your own desk is Inquisitor Lord Tetrona Daxune, and standing over her shoulder on either side are two sisters, two Adeptus Sororitas sisters of silence, blanks, who've completely suffocated your psychic abilities. The Inquisitor Lord looks up to you. Interrogator Vintael, I thought it was time that we had a debriefing from your first significant mission.
It's a bit of an extreme welcoming. Thanks for letting yourself into my room. I appreciate it.
Oh, I'm so sorry. What I meant to say is, I am going to explain some things to you. You are going to sit quietly, or stand quietly. That's better, actually. And when I am done speaking, you'll have a better understanding of our situation. You can just nod if that is clear to you. Excellent. Let me begin. First, I want to congratulate you. You went to the throne's tiers expecting a derelict ship, and you found not one, but two of the ruinous powers infesting the craft. You were able to ferret out the Slaneshi plot to bring Enuncia back, to understand Ravenor's mad ravings, and you were able to stop the Nurgle plot that would have seen the shrine world of Enoch turned into a permanent warp gate, a hole in reality, not unlike the Eye of Terra. For those two things alone, and had they been those two things alone, I would be handing you a rosette today. Because what you did for the Gilead system and what your team did for the Gilead system is beyond words. But there were a couple of areas that you fell short of what an Inquisitor would have considered. I would like to ask you, what is an interrogator's primary mission?
To serve the Emperor.
Well, yes, to serve the Emperor as an interrogator. And as a hint, it's in the name of your title. It's to interrogate, to ask questions, to dig deep, to find information, to understand everything, and then inform your Inquisitor so they can make a decision. And if your Inquisitor is unavailable, only after you have all of the information do you make a decision. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. Almost every young interrogator makes the same mistake. I made the same mistake. But there is a difference, my friend. You are in the Gilead system, behind a warp storm. You are going to be in this system for your entire life. Short or long, your entire career will be in the Gilead system. When I made a similar mistake, my Inquisitor declared me dead and sent me to a system light years away, so there was no fallout for him. And I kind of touched on the second most important thing. An interrogator follows their Inquisitor's directions. Now, admittedly, you're not my interrogator. You came from beyond the Gilead system, and we had an arrangement. You were going to carry on your Inquisitors and your investigations, and you were going to support my investigations. And in so doing, I was going to provide you support. But it was critical that your work for me was kept quiet. I did not want you to be known as an Inquisitorial agent because your effectiveness to my investigations was because you were an unknown factor. Nobody knew. You know who knows now? The entire system knows that you work for the Inquisition. Because here's the thing. Normally, and this is not your fault, normally when a Inquisitor sends a warband out, every single member of that warband is loyal to that Inquisitor. No information gets out. But you're not. You're part of a task force from a rogue traitor, for God's sake. No one in your group is loyal to the Inquisition except for you. Perhaps the assassin, but the others are loyal to their own factions. But more critically, the Navy pilot is loyal to the Militar. So when he got back, within days, word of your order to execute those civilians passed through the gravediggers, the Navy. You are probably the single most well-known and currently most hated individual in the system. To the point where Colonel Patterson DeVries IV, the greatest hero of the gravediggers, and this is the interesting part, Commissar General LeBeau, you may have caught the name there, LeBeau, the grandfather of the dockhand that you had executed, came to my office, and they demanded that I sign a Diabolus order for you and have you immediately executed for heresy. I'm going to be honest with you. The Inquisition only functions when we've got support. And in this system, it's very limited. We've got the Absolvers, we've got the Gravediggers, we've got some Navy support. I almost signed that order just to maintain relationships with the Gravediggers. The downside is that would have made the Inquisition look weak. So I told them that you're not my interrogator, but that your actions were in keeping with protecting the Gilead system. And Colonel DeVries, he accepted that. Commissar General LeBeau, who was actually sent here and brought his only living relative, his granddaughter, to form a commissariat school at the Schola Progenium, he didn't really seem to accept it, but he stormed out of my office nonetheless. So you're alive, but you're no longer actively working for me. You will continue to provide support and information through Phoenix Parsheen, my astropath, but I'm not able to provide you any material or physical support, nor the support of the Inquisition at this point. And last, and least for me, but most likely not least for you, my agents have told me that the single largest bounty possibly ever in the Gilead system is currently on your head, and virtually every criminal organization in the system will more than likely attempt to kill you. That's the last point I wanted to make. Interrogators who don't get to become inquisitors, who don't get the rosette, almost always don't get it because they die because they didn't think things through. So, in the future, gather all the information before you make decisions. Don't kill Commissar General's granddaughters, and do everything in your power to stay alive long enough for everyone in the Gilead system to forget what happened. Good luck. You won't be physically seeing me ever again because I cannot be seen with you. But when Phoenix Parsheen taps on you mentally, make sure you give him all of the information that you have about any missions that you are currently undertaking. If you choose not to do this, I will sign the Diabolus order and you will be executed. Have a wonderful evening. And with that, she gets up and walks out. And we cut. And now we are on the Shrine World of Enoch. And we are in the office of the canoness Jean Grace de Messi. And before her are Sister Celeste and Sister Nura. Dear sisters, thank you for taking your time to come to see me. I want to tell you that I'm very proud of the work that you both did. You came from different areas, different regions, one of you with the flotilla, one of you here from the Gilead system, but together with the rest of your task force, you were able to uncover insidious plots that would have destroyed Enoch. But you were able to stop that. I know there was a cost. Everyone knows there was a cost. But you were willing to risk yourselves in the name of the Emperor to protect this world, and that will not be forgotten. But what I really want to tell you, and is much more troubling, is what you found on the Throne's Tiers. Corruption within the Sister Hospitalers. A Sister Hospitaller should never be able to be corrupted by the forces of the Plague Lord. A Ministorum priest who is an advisor falling to Slanesh. It is up to the two of you. You must, quietly, and for us, the Order of the Sanctified Shield, investigate those Ministorum forces that traveled with the Veronius flotilla to determine how widespread the corruption is. If the Slaneshi cult, or if there is some Nurgle infestation that is plagued beyond the Throne's Tiers, you must ferret it out. You too have proven that you are capable of working together and working against the ruinous powers in order to protect Enoch and the Order. So I lay this charge upon you. Regardless of what Veronius is having you do, keep your eyes open and your ears peeled. And any sign of corruption, any sign of heresy within the Ministorum, we must know. The Gilead system cannot survive if the ecclesiarchy becomes tainted. Thank you,
This is
sister.
quite distressing to us as well. We take on this task.
It was so wise of you to leave the corrupted chainsword behind. A relic. It breaks my heart to think of it being destroyed, but that relic, had it not been able to be cleansed or passed to less pious hands, that corruption would have rotted them through, and who knows how far and wide that nurgling plague would have spread. The Plague Father is insidious, and he grinds away at us at the cellular level.
It had done enough damage.
Yes, but you recovered completely and without taint. And let me tell you, we have been keeping an eye on you. But you are pure of heart and of will, and that is why the two of you are the only agents within the Veronius flotilla that I trust with this most important task.
And I trust my health to Sister Celeste. We will be successful.
Excellent.
We will do what needs to be done.
In the Emperor's name, his blessing or his mercy. Do you have any questions of me, sisters?
We will do what we need to do. We have found our traveling companions a motley crew. But we will do our best.
And at that, Melissa, why don't you tell us a little bit about Sister Nura as she's sitting there with the canoness?
Yeah, so she is pretty straightforward Sister Battle. She is, as always, fully sort of decked out in all of her gear. She keeps close to her, kind of within her belt pocket. She kind of keeps her notes of all of the kind of lessons that she has been taught along the way. And I'm sure there's something from this talk today that she will write down and refer to later. And her objective for this particular session is to fill your lungs with a bolstering hymn in a time of stress.
Wonderful. And Sister Celeste, as the canoness is dismissing you, do you have any questions of her? Or if not, describe Sister Celeste to us and tell us what your objective is.
Sister Celeste, she doesn't have any questions at this time. I think she's still a bit rattled about the fact that another sister was able to be corrupted so thoroughly. So she's been devoting a bit more of her time in her worship. And she is now a much taller woman. She had previously lost her legs, so she has augmented legs. She has an augmented eye, and you can tell it was done as well as it could where we were, but the skin is pulled, and you can tell it causes her some discomfort at times, especially if she tries to smile or make too large of like a facial distortion. So she's very stoic at this point. And she's got this eye is a golden color versus her normal purple eye, and she's got the classic platinum bob. And but she normally wears a habit, so you don't really see it very often with the classic red and bone white dressings.
Wonderful. So we fade away from Enoch, and at that point, Gavious, you feel a telepathic handshake, if you were from Phoenix Parsheen. Gavious, do you hear me?
Yes.
I must tell you, the Inquisitor Lord was quite harsh with you. I was not obviously privy to your meeting. I cannot stand to be in the presence of the silent sisters. It's so unnerving. But although she was quite firm with you, if you are able to stay alive and accomplish your tasks, I am quite certain that she will relax her restrictions upon your access. I know for a fact that she was very impressed with the work you did. And in fact, she herself would have done exactly what you did. But she is right that the Gilead system being cut off makes this a difficult place for the Inquisition to operate. But I wanted to assure you that you can pass on any information to me that you gather, and I will do my best to provide you with what support I can on her behalf, unofficially. That's what she's asked me to do. I hope you understand what I'm saying.
Politics are politics.
Indeed, and she is dealing with some of the most difficult politics. However, we wish you well, but keep your eyes and mind open, because it is likely that there will be people making attempts on your life. However, I was very proud of the work you did, and I'm glad that you made it back in one piece. I look forward to working with you in the future. And at that, why don't you describe a little bit who Gavious Vintael is, where he comes from, what he looks like, and what your objective for this session is?
How do I roll objective again?
It's on a character sheet.
There's a dice next to the word objective, and so if you push it and wait, it'll cycle through. It took a second. On mine, it looked like it wasn't rolling, and then it did.
Notes tab.
Oh, notes. Okay. All right. Okay. So I'm like 6'2", tall, dark, handsome. You know, I'd say no. You'd say it's about 6. Let's say it's about 6'6". Tall, dark, and handsome, blue eyes. You know, really tight in the pocket, can roll out and make a play if he needs to. Well, I was adorned with the sigils and the markings and garb of the Inquisition. I've decided instead to kind of, given the current situation of being a bit on the hot seat, to exchange my Inquisitorial garb for a dark cloak that goes over my head. I've decided to grow a bit of a 5 o'clock shadow to try and change the way I look a little bit, and find myself to be a little bit more recessed from the world as I used to be, because may have made some rash decisions of blowing some people up. Currently, what my goal is to do in this particular session is to postulate on the weakness of the mutant, the alien, or the renegade. I don't really know what that means. So
I'm going to tell you. In a minute, when we get everybody's objective, I'll explain what the objective means. So, okay. Sister Celeste, did I get your objective?
No, I messed up. Mine is to invoke an imperial saint, such as Alicia or Celestine. Is that how you say it? Mm-hmm. To bless my achievements.
Fantastic. So we slip away from that. Now, Birk Talif, your debriefing to Magos Errant XI99 literally took seconds in binary. And so you've had basically a week where you've not been called on to do anything. You've got no responsibility. So tell us about Birk Talif, what he would have possibly been doing with his time, and what his current objective is.
So Birk Talif, very tall, precisely half an inch taller than Gavious Vintael, whatever his height is. No eyes, just sort of sunken black sockets, for his eyes have been burnt away long ago. He is always bare-chested, wears his fulgurite robes from the waist down, and he has his sort of generator on the back for storing force and sort of manipulating it, and he carries his staff with him, his electro-leech staff. He is a model of efficiency. He does not He does not spend time with small talk, with basic elements of entertainment or anything like this. He is here to serve. He is here to he serves the will of the Omnissiah, and he believes very firmly that the flesh is weak, but the motive force is power. So I think what he would be doing in this time, first he would be tending to his new servo skull, Haster Cravo. He will spend time ensuring that skull is properly polished. He will get a proper anti-gravitic impeller installed. He will ensure that all of that is done in as effective and efficient a way as possible. Assuming that he doesn't have time to return to Averclus, his forge world, he will then find some place within. So are we on a station? Would we say we're like?
You guys would all be on the Ducal Circlet, which is the flagship of the Veronius flag. So it's like 10 kilometers long. I mean, it's as big as a space station. But
so if there is no, so he would probably spend a not insignificant amount of time in whatever section of the ship emits the most amount of power, stores and emits, whether that's like a reactor chamber or something where he is able to contribute. He might also sort of perform times of meditation in which he is just sort of sitting very uncomfortably in the corner, his knees onto the ground, electrolyte staff in front of him, just looking directly out at the various flows of energy within the room, and he will make himself useful. He will, whatever that might be. If necessary, he might also perform time like martial training as well. For he is in fact a warrior, so he would probably would have no qualms with overexerting himself in various sparring opportunities. Not caring whether the other survives, it's just not important. That would probably be his combo of things he would do over the week.
And what is his objective for this session?
It's very easy, in fact. It is to give praise to the Omnissiah for some small miracle. And who else would we praise but the Omnissiah? Small miracles, large, who else would be responsible?
And then last but not least, we find Wigbert Hahn. You also quickly were able to debrief Archdeacon Clade. He already had most of the information from Inquisitor Lord Dykesune. So the information you provided just confirmed what he already knew. He blessed you in the name of the God Emperor and set you on your way. So without a mission, without the hand of the Emperor directing you as his weapon, what would Wigbert Hahn have been doing this week? And what's your objective for this session?
Wigbert Hahn, a tall, lanky man dressed in full black leather. I've got a cloak with the insignia on it. Hasn't been washed, covered in blood. I've got red goggles that cover my augmented eyes. And I'm always slouched over, even though I'm a tall man, so I appear shorter than I look. And what I've been lacking faith since the last mission. I've been corrupted, been touched by the filth, so I must do some penitence. So I've decided I'm crawling around for the last 7 days. And my palms and knees are bloody, leaving trails of blood wherever I go. To make sure my faith doesn't waver.
I love it. That's perfect. And what is your objective?
Yeah, my objective will be to convert a non-believer to the truth of the Imperial cult.
Nice. I like it. So, what objectives are in this game is it's a way to regenerate wrath points. So every character starts with 2 wrath points in a session. You can be awarded additional wrath points for good role playing or doing something phenomenal, or working your objective into the story where it makes sense. So, just blurting it out, I'm not going to give you another wrath point for that, but if it makes sense in the story, you'll get a wrath point. If you do that. Get your objective out. Remind me that's what you're doing, because I'm an old man and I'll likely forget that's what you're doing. So, but that's how you use your objective. You get a new objective every session, so you've got an opportunity to regenerate wrath points that way, as well as through good role playing and interesting things. So we're all caught up. We've got our objectives. We know our task force. Like I said, it's been about a week, and on your data slates or through your augmented optics, you get a blaring message coming through that states 003211 as dictated by Jackal Veronius. Subject, relic retrieval. Target, thigh bone of Saint Hephaestium. Location, Silent Monastery, Hephaestium's Rest. Loyal servants of the Imperium, I am dispatching you to retrieve an important relic from the island monastery of Hephaestium's Rest, the thigh bone of Saint Hephaestium. It was sharpened into a blade and used to banish a foul corruption of chaos that threatened the Imperium centuries ago. Since the thigh bone's use as a weapon against the vile entities of the warp, it has been entrusted to the care of a group of monks devoted to protecting what few trappings remain of Saint Hephaestium in the monastery on Enoch. Artifacts of this kind are, at the very least, inspirational on the field of battle, which is enough of a reason to send a team such as yourselves to requisition one. However, this is only part of your mission. We have reason to believe a traitor of the arch enemy has infiltrated the monastery and is seeking to purloin its vital produce. Whilst your task to retrieve the relic is no mere cover, if you only achieve one thing in your mission, let it be this: discover that traitor and destroy them. I traveled to the monastery once in my younger years, having walked up the winding staircase to reach the brooding structure at the highest point of the unnamed island that it rests on. Thousands of pilgrims have made similar journeys in the past several centuries, but in recent months, the monastery's attendant monks have gone entirely silent. Compounding this sudden lack of communication, retrieved passenger manifests indicate that the few pilgrims traveling to the monastery in these trying times have failed to return. I've arranged transport to the monastery's island through a local naval transport barge operated by one Ship Mistress Amsel. Once you reach the island, head up to the monastery, destroy the traitor, secure the thigh bone by any means necessary. I suspect the lack of communication from the residing monks means some foulness has taken root on the island. Speak with the ship mistress to learn what you can during your journey, but otherwise focus on returning the relic intact. Courage is the Emperor's gift. Repay him with victory. And the message ends. Then you get a quick ping that says there is a gun cutter that is ready for you in the docking bay to take you to Enoch. You've got a little bit of time if you want to do anything before you leave. Just let me know.
Were you gonna explain my thing?
Oh yeah, your thing. So basically, yours was to denounce the alien, the Xenos, or the mutant, right?
To postulate
Okay.
on the weakness of the mutant, the alien, or the renegade.
So in conversation with any Imperial forces, anything, particularly ones that have dealt with or been engaged with Xenos, mutants, heretics, etc., your objective would be to explain to them how weak that Xenos or that heretic is in the face of the greater strength of the Emperor of Mankind and the Imperium, and that how these people have to be strong in their devotion to the Emperor, and in that strength, no heretic, no Xenos, or no mutant could possibly stand against the glory of the Emperor.
Okay.
That kind of thing.
All right. What does mutant mean? I'm
Mute
joking.
is anybody
I'm joking.
who
I'm joking.
you're killing me. So
yeah, I mean, I think Sister Nura would, sort of do one last prayer and make haste for this gun cutter.
okay.
Can we do like a montage of us like getting our knives in places and like
absolutely.
praying?
I mean,
Okay.
in
Like
our
old 80s
mind's
montage.
eyes, we see, in slow motion, all of you guys gearing up and then slowly walking towards the gun cutter and getting on it. Nobody taking a shot at Gavious yet, at least not on the ducal circlet.
And a Zack Snyder-esque slow-mo from the background.
absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
All right. Okay. All right. So that's what I want to make sure we're doing.
Maybe a little bit of woo as well. You get some wind blowing through, your coat's blowing up in the
The
back.
sexy leg as you're sneakily hiding a knife on your thigh.
I have a stiletto.
Inexplicably, some mechanical birds flying in
The
front of you,
augmetic
something
leg.
like that.
Yeah, Celeste's metal thigh.
Just popping out there.
Plus,
light
you're
shining
you're a
off of it.
nun too. Like the whole combo is hilarious.
It's
A
fantastic.
sexy nun, Jeff.
Well, there goes my
You
hero
had me
plays in
at
the background.
augmetic legs. You don't need to do any more. I'm good.
So
funny.
we see everybody getting on the gun cutter, and then we transition, and we slide past the trip to Enoch. We slide past landing at the port, and we find ourselves. The scene opens back up, and you find that the taste of the salt is heavy in the air, punctuated by a heavy whir of the engine sounds coming from the back of a 10-meter-long boat. Coughing bangs from the engine come as frequently as the freak waves across the lake, both producing similar jarring sounds. You see an island rising in the distance, its gray stone form capped with a darker stone structure set against an overcast sky. A raven-haired woman, garbed in a set of well-worn navy blue naval fatigues, stands at the vessel's fore, looking out towards the island. She pulls out a small brass telescope lens and peers through it before offering it to each of you for a look. She points to the dark stone structure. There is Hephaestion's Rest. The monastery is the crown on that dreary little island. It's not too much longer before we reach it. I'll bring us into the docks, but I'm going to leave all the climbing up to the monastery in your capable hands. After all, I'm Navy. I'm not Army, so it's going to be up to you. I'm definitely not heading up to that damned place.
Is this the ship mistress?
Yep. Ship Mistress Amsel.
Amsel.
She looks like she's in her early 40s. The way she pilots this boat, you get the impression that she's been doing this run for quite a while, that she knows the boat very well.
I must ask, have you noticed differences in the number of times you've made this run or any other such changes of the sort?
Sister, and it's a blessing to have two sisters on my boat. I can't tell you. I mean, Enoch is a shrine world, and I've dealt with a lot of Ministorum, but I don't often get sisters. The Adeptus Sororitas on my boat, that's an honor. But no,
It
I'm
is
going
an
to tell
honor. Glad that you noticed.
the Emperor protects, and obviously you're his protection-given life, so thank you. I very much appreciate the two of you. She looks over at Gavious. I can't say the same for all your company, but sisters are always welcome on my boat. But yes, back to your question. The monks going silent and the pilgrims disappearing all started about the same time. It was there was this crazy celestial event. It's like the skies opened up and caught on fire. Other ships that ply the area, they noted seeing the strange lights in the sky too around Hephaestion's Rest, but nobody knows exactly what happened. But that's about the time that the monks went quiet and the pilgrims stopped coming back. I haven't put in dock there for quite a while. Nobody's gone out for weeks, which is odd in of itself. I mean, they're fairly self-sufficient, but they need supplies like everybody else.
Does the celestial event coincide with the ship disappearing? That the Hulk that we
No. This would have happened a couple of weeks before,
Okay.
before the Space Hulk came into the system. Does anybody want to take a look through her telescope as you're approaching?
Sure, that'd be cool.
Sure. Give me an awareness test, awareness intelligence test.
Is there a roll that I could do with this sort of celestial event if this is some event that has occurred before, is in stories or anything like that?
Sure, you could do like a history check. With 6 successes, as you're looking through it, did you get any shifts? No shifts. Okay, you look through it and you do notice it looks like you actually see signal lights coming from the upper windows of the monastery, and they're flashing in some kind of sequence. But I mean, it looks like there's somebody there in the monastery, at least in the upper areas.
Can we try and figure out what that sequence is? Like translate it?
Yes, you definitely can. Okay, real quick with your scholar, give me a scholar test for that as well. With your scholar test, 3 successes, I would say that you, historically speaking, and in the system, it doesn't relate to any other event that comes to mind.
I see.
As far as celestial events, it doesn't really click with anything.
Oh, what's the DN for that? I got 3 successes.
3 successes. You're not quite sure. It's a pattern, but you don't know what pattern it is.
Can I try and like? She's presuming that it might be like binary of some kind, maybe. So she'll start listing it out, like trying to get. And eventually, she'll stop and she'll just call Byrrc over to see. Could you help me translate this? And I don't know if you can look through the telescope.
Yeah, you can point it out.
Yes.
The Matrix.
Of course. Like, so yeah, he'll do it. Like he'll look through the telescope. Of course, he's putting an empty eye socket to the telescope, which is merely just accentuating his farsight there, basically. But yeah, he'll look in and see if there's any sort of kind of mathematical pattern, anything he can kind of glean from it. Is this like binary, or is this some other? Is there something significant to it?
It would be you can do a scholar test with a DN4, or you can do a tech test with a DN6.
I'll do scholar.
It's not really binary, but you might be able to pick up the pattern.
Yeah, I like how actually like it could be binary. I'm like, if only there was somebody here who spoke binary.
I know, and I was like, looking
There's
at
only
you.
someone here who did that.
If only,
If
Byrrc.
Who was that?
only.
Who could that be? All right, here we go.
What does?
And 5 successes.
5 successes. Okay. So you're looking through it. You're connecting the electromagnetic energy that you're picking up. I mean, this is basically, it's basic light transference. It's RF, but it's hitting you, and your system is digesting the information basically, and you recognize it as a very rudimentary SOS. Somebody is in distress on the monastery, and they're trying to signal passerbys.
The weakness of flesh inside the temple is signaling for our assistance, or any assistance.
We should hurry then.
Should we? If they are incapable of saving themselves, we should not move with too much alacrity so as to harm our own endeavors here. Their rescue is not our primary nor secondary task.
But the thigh bone could potentially be.
It is not the thing that is signaling us.
It could be being used to threaten the person who is signaling us. We should
Whatever
go.
you say, sisters. And he'll step away from the telescope at that point.
And Shipmaster Amsel looks around. Now she's even a little bit more disturbed, but she turns to the sister. She's like, the monks are good people. They're doing the Emperor's work out there. So if there's anything you can do for, regardless of anything else, I'm sure
Yes.
the Emperor would appreciate it.
If there's someone in their midst, we will leave them back to the work that they are there to do.
Bless you, sister. In the Emperor's name.
I shall be his mercy. And Celeste nods and just briskly steps towards the doors.
Okay, so the boat continues to come in. Is there anything else you want to ask or any other information you want before you get to the docks?
Mr. Samsel,
Yes, sir.
down here.
Yes. I've not often had someone on my... Are you seasick, sir?
No, not quite. I'm just wondering, we're the only people you've transported.
In the last several weeks, yes.
Ah,
I used to take pilgrims quite a bit, or supplies to the monks quite a bit, but for the last several weeks, there haven't been any pilgrims going to or from the monastery, and they've not put in a request for supplies.
do you remember the last people you've transported?
Vaguely, there were 3 pilgrims that went out, and an acolyte that was going to be an aspirant to the monks at Hephaestium's Rest.
Very well.
You have a log? Do you have any names?
No, back at the dockmaster would have a log. I don't carry one up for transport.
Thank you. Long's got a good idea. I like it.
So, a lone dock, visibly worn ceramite, juts from a circular section of open sand under a soaring dark gray cliff. The ship comes alongside, and Sister Amsel hops off in a fluid motion, and she takes a weathered rope from the ship, and she ties the ship off. She looks back at you, at the sisters. She goes, "Sisters, this is as far as I can take you. You'll need to head up those stairs to reach the monastery. I'll stay tied up here at the dock for when you come back."
Yes, you will.
And as you get off, you smell rotting seafood mingling with salty sea air and other refuse. And you see quite a few like heaped up at the base of the dock, right there where the land and the sea meets. There's a mound, about 2 feet tall mound of mangled and disfigured fish corpses, just deposited haphazardly all about the side near the lapping water.
I'll lunge towards them and start snacking.
Okay. You pick them up, and they've been shredded. They've been horribly, horribly shredded, but you can definitely take a bite out of one of them. I think I would like... what do I want here? I think I want a toughness test. Just straight toughness. Difficulty 3.
5 success.
5
I can shift as
successes.
well.
Okay, so you swallow down these fish guts and small fish bones and gelatin fish eyes that are starting to rot, squelch in your teeth. They slide down your gullet, and your stomach rolls and roils for a moment. But then you let out this acidic belch, and your gut settles as you basically stand in this pile of rotting fish corpses.
I put a hand up, offering to the others.
Thank you, Big Bird.
Need
but no,
not
thank you.
share.
Not for me.
So you see the stairs winding up the side of the there's stone stairways cut into the sides of these cliffs. They're very steep. The stairs themselves are of different depths and heights, so it's not an easy walk under the best of circumstances because you constantly have to pay attention to where you're putting your feet. So you don't trip over the stairs themselves. There are no banisters or anything. These are stairs just cut right into the cliffside. So a fall could be quite painful.
I think Byrrc will be standing at the base of them, waiting impatiently at this about this random excursion for fish sticks or something. But he'll be peering up the stairs to see what he can see above, and he's also specifically looking to see if there's any signs of like. I know you said they're carved into like a cliff or they're carved into earth. Is there any signs of like electrical circuitry anywhere? Any sort of suggestions of like any kind of machinery, even if it's just lights or defenses, anything like that, kind of moving up?
Okay, first, give me a awareness test. Difficulty 6.
Oh dear God. Okay.
Dear God, indeed.
Dear on the Sire. So if I pass this, then I can praise him for a small miracle of me passing this.
That is true. Because your awareness is pretty low.
All right, there we go. That's only 4 successes, unfortunately. So that's going to be a fail.
So as you're staring up there, you see shadows up near the top. And for a second, it looks like somebody's up there, but you don't get a clear look. Now just give me a difficulty 3 tech test.
Okay. That's more like... Actually, my awareness isn't really that bad now that I look at it. 3 successes. I did get 3.
You sense no electrical currents in the immediate area. You sense faint pulsing coming from the monastery, but nothing on the hillside or the cliffside. In fact, the only source of electrical power, any energy along the electromagnetic spectrum that you feel is coming from the monastery.
Okay. With that, he'll keep the second part of that internalized because they don't care. But the first thing he'll say, movement. If you are done, I believe there might have been movement at the top of the steps.
Let us go. Quickly now. And
All right.
Nara will ascend.
Byrrc will say, looking at the steps, quickly but prudently. As he points to the fact the steps are kind of uneven and it's sort of a dangerous trek.
Who's leading the way?
Nara will.
Okay.
I'll follow.
Okay. So you begin slowly making your way up the stairs, and you're about a third of the way up when you come across a slight bend in the stone stairs. And Sister Nura, you're about to take a step forward when Byrrc stops you. Byrrc's passive awareness is great enough that you see right at the foot level, extending across these stairs, is an almost invisible wire going from either side of the stairs.
Why do you lay hands on me? I'm going upward.
You just feel like a little sense of like static electricity too, like that little jolt that you get when you touch other people, and he just grabs you by the shoulder and he pulls you back.
What?
Look down where you set your feet, and he will kind of track it with he'll like use his electroleaf staff almost as like a pointer as he's just sort of pointing in the direction of what she was about to trigger.
And as you trace the line across, you find that either sides of the stairs, kind of camouflaged, are 2 improvised explosive devices that, had they been tripped, would have probably blown all of you off the stairs.
Oh, well, if you hadn't caught me, I might have just gotten legs like Sister Celeste.
Now Byrrc regrets his actions. Can Byrrc see to trying to disable them to
Give
ensure
me
they don't?
Tech test.
Okay. Difficulty on this?
Difficulty 3.
3. Okay. All right. 6 this time, but I did get I got a Wrath critical. That's a good thing. Sorry.
Yep. So
Nice.
1 point into the glory. With the Wrath critical, you're able to disable both sides very quickly, very quietly, and intactly, so that neither one of the devices were disturbed.
Okay.
And like I said, you're about a third of the way up the stairs. And you hear over the Voxcaster, Shipmaster Amsel. I saw that you stopped in the stairs. Is everything all right?
There was a trap, but Bjork took care of it.
Trap. I also saw somebody at the top of the stairs. Looked like he was watching. Listen, I'm going to pull off the dock. I got to keep the ship intact. I'm going to stay within Voxcaster range. When you're coming down, you Vox me and I'll come back in and pick you up.
You best be here when you are needed.
I will be right off the coast. Just look down off the island and I'll be sitting here until you come down or until 2 days have passed and I assume you're dead. You can always contact me on the Vox. Just contact me on the Vox if you're running behind time. Let me know what's going on. There's plenty of range with my Voxcaster on the boat here. That work for you, sister? I got to protect the boat. It's Davy property.
Given that the boat is our way out of here safely, your interests align with ours.
Indeed they do, sister. And I would not leave 2 sisters of the Adeptus Sororitas behind. You just keep in contact with me over the Vox when you can, and I'll be here for you when you need to pick up.
Perhaps you come here in 2 days before assuming we have perished.
I'm going to be right off the coast. At the end of 2 days, if I haven't heard from you, I'll try to Vox you.
Okay.
If you don't Vox me back, I'm going to go get reinforcements.
That will do.
So I'm glad to hear that. Good luck. Be careful. I don't know what's going on there. They don't trap the stairs, so there's something else going on. I don't know.
We'll look into it. Thank you.
So you continue to climb up the stairs. These uneven stairs continue to slow your progress, much slower than you thought. And then you get to a very steep, winding section, and you see that actually parts of the embankment and parts of the stairs have actually collapsed. And then to get to the upper section of the stairs, you're going to have to get past this collapse somehow. You can do an athletics test to get past it. You can try to dig it out. You can do a strength test to just barrel through it. Whatever you think is.
Being at the front, Nura would try athletics first. This is something she is good at.
Just a difficulty 4.
Eight successes. Ooh, and a wrath complication and a possible shift. So okay. All of the things happened in that roll.
So you can shift. There's not really any additional information I can give you out of this shift. So if you want to shift it to glory, that might be a good place for it to go.
I'll do that. And do you want me to roll complication?
Nope, I've got the complication. Okay. So you're able to get over it, but because of your heavier armor, as you get over the top, you displace some of the dirt that comes down, and it kind of rolls out of the way of the stairs. But you dislodge some of the detritus, and you uncover the smeared remains of several monks, and it looks like maybe 1 or 2 pilgrims, because they're not in monk garb, who are absolutely crushed by the collapse. I mean, viscera is coming out. You can smell it now, the smell of death and decay mixed with mud. And Sister Nura, you're ahead of it, but everyone else who observes this collapse take 1 point of shock damage from this unexpected horror that you're seeing. Even those of you who are not particularly concerned with the flesh, you feel this unexpected display unsettling. But with the collapse now partially out of the way, the rest of you were able to move your way up the stairs past the bodies, unless there's something that you want to do here at this collapse or with these bodies.
Sister Nura would sort of lock eyes with Sister Celeste and make sure that we said appropriate prayers over these bodies that were just left here quite unceremoniously.
Okay. So while the sisters are pausing to pray, Beer, Wigbert, Gavious, is there anything else that you want to do? Or are you going to stay for the prayers?
I'm going to continue forward.
Okay.
I'll go
Could I like investigate deeper as to what may have occurred here with these crush rides? Obviously something stepped on them, but like let's just kind of see what's going on.
Give me a you can give me an investigation check, difficulty 3, or an awareness test, or survival test, difficulty 4. They'll give you different information, but the investigation test will give you more information. Wrath complication, but 6 successes and 1 shift. Okay, so with the shift, I'll give you some additional information. Go ahead and roll your wrath complication. Let's just see what comes up. Okay, so while you're looking at the bodies and doing this investigation, you disturb some of them, and that causes Sister Nura and Sister Celeste to make a mistake in their prayers. They stop for a moment, they get their line wrong, and that's a little unsettling. So it's not mechanically nothing happens, but perhaps that has some sort of impact in your relationships. But what you do discover,
well, they're already such a swimming relationship between everybody anyway, so I think it's going great.
I think it's fantastic.
Clearly, you're the favorite party member of the sisters, for sure.
But Gavious, what you do recognize is that all of the bodies are oriented away from the monastery. They were, and the way they were moving and the way some of them have fallen, it's clear that they were literally running down the stairs away from the monastery. And it also looks like the way that some of the soil, how it was disturbed and collapsed, it looks like it was an explosion that caused it. So it looks like possibly maybe another improvised explosive device they tripped or something and caused the collapse right behind them as they ran past it and blew them off of their feet. But they were clearly making their way away from the monastery. It is a couple of monks, and it looks like 3 pilgrims.
Do any of them have anything on them?
No, just their what it looks like to you is they basically ran out of the monastery with whatever they had on them. There was a couple of them looked like they might have been asleep even, and that they're running out in their bedclothes. None of them have any kind of technology on them, no slates, no bags, nothing. So whatever caused them to leave the monastery, they left in an incredible hurry with a complete disregard for any of their belongings or their own health and well-being.
Do we think
Have you found anything you deemed it necessary to disturb our prayers? I certainly hope you've discovered something important.
Well, it seems as if they were running from an explosion from the monastery, so I do believe there's a small amount of information, unless you too wanted to experience the same fate as these. Let's make sure we keep our eyes peeled for any further traps ahead. It seems like they were running quite quickly from a threat that we are currently unaware of.
Someone has taken the time to lay the trap that we passed on the way up and lay this trap that these unfortunate souls did not notice in their haste.
Let's proceed with caution.
Do we think perhaps this SOS that we're investigating is perhaps a trap?
I mean, undoubtedly it is, but it is probably within our best interest to finish through with this investigation and then further our venture into the island.
Well, we should certainly make sure that Byrrc is near the front. His awareness has saved us once already.
And so we continue our way up the stairs. It takes about another hour to wind up around the stairs, but you don't discover any other traps or any other deadfalls or anything else that inhibits your progress. As you come up the last rise, you see a dark stoned Gothic monastery, a cathedral in the middle, wings coming off of either side, heavy stonework. And you're approaching the entryway to Hephaestium's Rest. You don't see any activity outside of the monastery at all. Somebody give me an awareness test. You all can if you want.
Rigbert, you were out front. You want to do it?
Yeah, I can do it.
Okay.
Five with the shift.
Yes. Yes, you can.
Nice.
That is a excellent roll.
Six with the shift. Okay. So, but a complication. But I think we're going to be okay. I'm going to bank that complication for now. I'm going to assume you're shifting to glory right now because I don't really have any additional information
Okay,
to
that's
give
fine.
you. So you're up to 4 glory at the moment. With your awareness test of what you do see, hiding to the left of these giant double doors, kind of in a nook set back next to this column, you see what looks like a monk. He's kind of squatted down. He's bald. He's got a great bandage across his face where it looks like, and it's kind of seeping pus, where maybe he's lost an eye. And on that same side, the left side, he's got his shirt sleeve is empty and tied against his body, and it's also brown with was probably dried blood. But he's looking at you. His monk his attire is torn and dirty, but then he sees that you see him, and he holds his finger up to his lips, and he waves you over furtively.
Make a quick glance in the room, and I'll still along the walls.
The doors are shut. You can't see into the monastery at the moment, but he's
see.
to the outside and to the left of the doors.
Then I'll point him out and lead the others there.
And he puts his hand over his mouth, and then he holds a finger up. You could give me an insight test if one of you wants to make an insight test. Difficulty
Someone
5.
other than Nura.
I mean, I'm right next to you, Wigbert, but I'm the worst person to do that. So.
Mine's pretty bad, but I can give it a try if no one else.
Mine's 4.
That's better.
Could I also probe his mind? Would that be better?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You totally can do that. Give me a,
Or that.
it's gonna do telepathy or mind probe or
Mind probe.
okay.
I'll just pull it up and
Make the, and now before we get into this, so are you using your psychic powers bound or unbound? The difference is if you're using them bound, it's just your basic psychic mastery test. If you use them unbound, you get 1 bonus die, but that bonus die is a second wrath die. And then you could use them completely unrestricted, which means you get to add a bunch of wrath die if you want. But remember, If you roll a 1 on a wrath die, you get a peril of the warp.
I'm kind of going away from what I wanted to do, so I'm just going to do an insight check because my thoughts of how I want to approach this post cutscene probably requires me to use a little bit less of my abilities that seem less unseen. So I'm doing you said insight, is that what it was?
Insight, yep.
One success is pretty good, right?
So you're looking at him, you're not quite getting what he's doing, but he's scribbling. Then you see him scribbling something down on a piece of parchment. And he signals for you to read it. And it says, "Be quiet. We are silent monks. My name is Ricard. The enemy is here. I have to sneak you in to the solarium so you can help us get out of here." Did you ask him any questions or anything? And he's hunched down. He's nervous. His eyes are or his single eye is shifting around. The pus is leaking out from the under the cloth of where his other eye used to be. He's clearly on the ragged edge.
What has happened here?
He scribbles furiously. "We don't have time. We have to get inside. We have to get safe."
Man, I really want to probe this guy's mind, but I don't want to use my psychic abilities.
You can't. I mean, you have them, so
I just worry about bringing attention, even though it seems like everyone already knows me. Yeah, I'll probe this guy's mind.
Okay. Give me a psychic mastery test.
Psychic mastery.
Doing bound or unbound?
Just bound.
Okay.
Lots of failures. Looks like I didn't win.
3 successes, 8 failures, but no shifts, no wrath. So let's talk about mind probing.
If that's a fail, by the way, you can always use. We have some glory built up, by the way.
It says approved. Does that mean it's a success?
You might not have set a difficulty before you rolled.
Yeah, the
By
difficulty
default,
was set
it
to
goes
3.
but that doesn't
3 would
necessarily
be
mean that's what Aaron
acceptable
was
for
setting it.
for this monk. It's your standard difficulty. This guy is rattled, so he would not. It's an opposed test, and he is in no shape to really oppose your mind probe. I just want to see. It's a sustained full action. So you may ask him one question for every turn you sustain the power. Every turn that you want to ask him another question, we have to roll an opposed test.
Okay.
But instead of doing an opposed test, I'm just going to set your difficulty is 3 because he's rattled. So that's how we're going to do this instead of doing an opposed test.
So my question is the same, like, what's happened here?
In his mind, you see his one eye get wide for a second, and then we were invaded. The monastery has fallen.
So next question. I said roll again.
Yep.
6 successes.
6 successes.
Wow.
But time to roll on the peril of the warp.
And a possible shift.
Was that on the peril of the warp? No, it was just your complication. I need a different table. If you go into,
Meanwhile, we're all just sort of standing around looking at each other like,
well, you see
what are we doing?
the temperature drops around him as he uses his powers, and a little bit of hoarfrost forms on his face and on the face of the monk. So you guys recognize that he is actually using some kind of power. If you go into the tables section, it's the one next to the open book and before the playing cards, and go down to the core tables.
Yeah.
You can go to the peril of the warp table and roll on that one.
So just hit the dice.
Yep.
Close. I think I hit the wrong. Pros the word. Okay.
Roll button at the very bottom.
Oh, okay. I don't know. It's at the bottom.
Okay, Tears of the Martyr. All the painting sessions are. Okay, so what happens is as the hoarfrost begins to cake on Gavious and this monk, the statuaries and the pillars on either side, these statues of Saint Hephaestion, begin to bleed out of their eyes and ears. The walls begin to bleed, almost like a waterfall of blood coming down, and it comes gushing across to cover your feet. I need everybody to make a DN difficulty 3 fear test.
Is this for conviction or resolve?
Yep. Resolve. You roll against resolve.
Okay.
Sorry.
Guys, I'm really proud of myself. I'm not afraid.
Where's the
Look
result
at
again?
you. Nura, on the other hand, is afraid.
Where's the result?
Combat tab.
Is it fear? You said.
Yeah. So it's your. If you go into your combat tab, roll.
I got it.
Can I forgot. Can we use glory for an additional dice or no?
Yeah, you can.
That's after you fail, though.
After you fail, and if
Okay.
you don't choose to do any rerolls.
Because you have to spend wrath to do a reroll on the fail, and then spend glory to get the extra die on your wrath reroll.
Got it.
Oh, so I should do that instead of just failing.
Okay.
We got glory. We built up a bunch, so you might as well use it.
Y'all spend wrath here.
Okay. So spend a wrath to reroll all of your rerolls all of your failed dice.
Got me a pass.
All right.
I guess I'll keep the fear condition for now then.
Okay, Dora's okay. You
What-
can spend
what was
wrath
the,
if you want.
Difficulty again, was it 5?
Three. You're fine.
3. Okay, I succeeded after the spending of the wrath.
I like it. Okay, so you're going to keep the fear condition.
Yes.
So you're all disturbed by this display. But Sister Celeste, after having dealt with this corrupted sister, the Nurgle infection, seeing this blood pool up under your boots, it almost immediately takes you back to that moment on the throne's on the throne's tears, and you feel that same level of horror at seeing that corruption, seeing this building literally weep the blood of Saint Hephaestion is what you're assuming. The monk Ricard passes out.
Whoops.
Did you gather information before having this poor man slumber?
Someone is here. We need to be prepared for us when we enter this monastery that we will experience some type of friction, to say the least. I was unable
Someone is here. That is the investigative wisdom that was provided, that the traps and the explosions did not cue us in, that this was already a stark possibility.
You take your shots and you hope that you get yourself a home run, but unfortunately I wasn't able to find it out before you passed out. I tried my best.
Most unfortunate. Your best was insufficient. And Sister Nura will...
So you see the two great double doors are cracked a little bit.
Yeah.
The monk Ricard is passed out, face down in this blood. The walls and the statuary are still bleeding for about a minute. The blood continues to flow down them.
Can Beric get up to the doors, carefully examine, listen in, see if he can hear anything on the other side, see anything like we've seen traps already, so he's probably kind of on alert for that. Anything like that to kind of get a sense of what might be beyond the door.
Give me an awareness test.
Okay.
It's kind of dark in here.
Okay.
I'm just gonna tell you information based on how many you get. There's a threshold you have to get. We'll see if you get there.
Okay. Fair enough. All right, that's 4 successes.
If you wanted to spend wrath to try to get more, that would be fine. If you don't want to, that's also fine.
I'll do it. I'll spend it and try to. Actually, wait, I should do it from the thing, shouldn't I? All right, I'll spend it. There we go. Got 2 more, so that's a total of actually 1 more exalted, so 7 total successes.
7 total. Okay.
Wow.
That's pretty good. 2 possible shifts.
I have no eyes.
All right.
And I am just filled with
aware
as it's not. So the shadows don't seem to really bother you, and it's not that you see this, but what you feel is feel the bioelectrical pulsing from feels like 4 creatures up high in the rafters, and the energy signature is not human. And with you got the 2 shifts, if you want to shift some of that, if you want to shift that to glory, you can, or if you want me to give you more information, I will give you more information.
Can I split it? Do 1 for each? Maybe?
Absolutely.
Let's do that. Take 1 to glory and 1 to info.
The way the bioelectrical energy is coursing around these creatures, they are not fully mammalian. There's a weird hybrid of energy, a weird, almost like a cellular colony kind of gestalt with some mammalian features. And you're able to put that together. There are 4 orcs in the rafters.
Okay, Jeff's super excited. Okay, so Birk will turn to Wigbert and whoever else is actually paying attention and not trying to make the guy who was our only ally here's brain explode. He will go 4. He will point like up into like sort of, you said the rafters, right? And as you said,
Yep.
Okay,
Yep, 4 rafters,
and you'll say,
rafters.
And then he will, with his mouth, he'll just sort of mouth the word orc. Like there's like maybe a little like flickering of like his like electrical his electus kind of like around his face just kind of flicker to try to focus your attention on the movement of his mouth, just to convey it to everybody. And also, does there look like there is? So you said rafters. Is there any? Do we see any kind of exterior route like up the wall, like that we could try to like get above, like onto the roof or onto a second level, or is it just like? Because like it feels like if they're in the rafters, they're like kind of using the door as like a funnel for us.
Yeah. So when you looked in, I mean, this was like the nave of the cathedral going in, and so it's a vaulted ceiling, like any church, and then way up in the rafters, you sense these 4 orcs. You could definitely attempt to climb the outside of the building and get up on the roof. You don't know that there's any access on the roof down into the nave, though.
Would Sister Nura or Celeste know where the solarium is located, since we've been to monasteries prior? Like, is this like a similar layout?
Give me a scholar test. And for you, since you're both sisters, it's just going to be a difficulty 2.
Three successes.
Okay. You're pretty familiar with this kind of layout, and you believe that if you went into the nave and then you went south, more than likely there are dormitories directly to the south where the monks' cells are, and then back off to the west down underground, probably you'll find yourself in like the chapel annex, and then down into the solarium.
Okay, so we would have to go through the nave to get there. Got it.
Yeah, you don't see any exterior entrances, at least on this side of the building, other than the nave. And you know that the monastery faces the cliffs on the other side. So there's probably not, at least not another entrance that you would be aware of to get into the building. Now, of course, there's like stained glass windows in some areas and things like that. So you could definitely break into any of, some of the other above ground areas of the monastery if you wanted to. I mean, you could get on the roof and you could drop down into the middle of the, there's an open atrium you could drop down into. So, I mean, there's a lot of different, you would know that the open cloister is probably right in the middle. So you could get into there from the roof more than likely, but it might be a little difficult. If you fell, it would be extremely painful. But
I'd like to dress Gavious in the robes of this monk. Lead the sisters in, Gavious. And I just squirm in through the door.
Wait.
Oh.
Okay. Wigbert, give me a stealth roll.
Like how we're all just like thinking this through. He's like, F it, let's go.
I want to go put the freaking explosives up on the roof over top of them and knock them out of the rafters.
Wigbert has no time for such ideas.
Wigbert's got the stealth.
They're always gonna like throw a rock through one of the windows for
I like
distraction.
to wraith point these.
Okay.
Wraith point.
I'm not wraithing. Wrath it up. Okay, six successes. That's pretty good. Let's see. Oh yeah, so you sneak in, and as you sneak in and you get deeper into the nave, you can actually hear these orcs, and they're speaking in a very guttural, low Gothic. They're saying, Boss Sly Stabber said we'd get us some crumpin' if we stayed here long enough, but I don't see no hoomies coming here no more. I can't think we can wait much longer. I haven't crumped anybody in days, except for, snotlings and the like, and I gotta do some crumping. All they got is toys to crump here. Sly Stabber, he's working me to my last niv here. We gotta get a proper scrum, boys. If we don't, somebody's gonna end up stabbing Sly Stabber himself. And then one of the other orcs says, you can't talk about the boss that way. He's got ears everywhere. You think you could crump Sly Stabber? I don't care how bad you are as a commando, boy. You ain't gonna crump Sly Stabber. And then they start bickering back and forth.
I patiently wait in the shadows.
All right. You are in the shadows. They do not appear to have detected you at all. Those of us who are still outside the monastery, what do you do?
Eric's climbing on the roof.
All right. Give me...
Are we like dropping down, or...
Beard doesn't give a shit what you're doing. Beard's going up on the roof.
Do you have
Yeah.
Do you have any kind of equipment or gear that is going to make this climb easier, or are you just...
I have the on the side is watching over me. That is all the gear I need.
Difficulty 5 athletics test.
Okay. All right, maybe I need some more gear. We'll see.
We've got some glory.
I will wraith it up. And I will spend a glory point as well. Yeah, I'm not sure if we figured out how to do that, right?
You should be
I
able
don't think so.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's on. I'm going to have to roll like a separate one.
Okay. Yeah.
So, well, I'm up to 6 successes.
You got successes. You're okay.
But I said I was going to spend it, so let me roll. It's only fair. I said I was spending a glory, so all right, it's just a fail. Okay.
So you guys see Birk, he's finding these tiniest little finger holds and toe holds and using his lash around statues, and he's pulled himself up the wall and disappears over the crest of the roof. Sister Nura, Sister Celeste, Gavious, you've seen Birk scale the side of this monastery like a spider. You saw Wigbert disappear into the shadows inside. What are you going to do? Or what do you choose to do?
I'm gonna stay put, watch from the door out, and make sure nothing's coming up behind us as I sit and wait to see what happens between these two.
Okay.
When an unstoppable object hits an imposing force.
Action
It should
Jackson's
be
here.
interesting. Give me just a difficulty 3 awareness test. Oh, okay. So you're looking out, you're scanning across the cliff tops, you're seeing some of the scrub brush, and for a moment, you're sure it's an orc with a big cigar, not lit, in his jaws. Huge, one of the biggest orcs you've ever seen, but he's so quiet. He just pops his head to the side of the bush, and he looks at you, and he winks. And then he fades back into the shadows and disappears. Sisters, what are you doing?
Well, I have my clunky large power armor, so I don't know if I'm gonna attempt to climb the building.
Might
But
be tough.
Celeste does get out her last pistol, and she's basically near the doors on hold, ready to kick it open and then shoot.
Okay. And Sister
Uh,
Nora.
Sister Nura's got her bolt gun out at the ready, so we're all just kind of like waiting for the inciting event
We're
to
waiting
happen.
for the go.
Can I stand slightly between them and behind them?
So brave.
So
brave.
Just like, you guys got this.
They're looking into the monastery, and you've got your back to their back, and you're looking out. It's a good triangle formation. You know, you guys are set. So, Wigbert, what do you do?
Yeah, I'm waiting for the explosive as well. Beer
Okay.
was talking about.
Okay. So Beric, you get up, you're on the roof. It's a slate roof. It's at an angle. I mean, but it's not, you've already done the hard part, getting across the wall. So you're able to navigate pretty well while you're up here.
So Bierk's he disarmed those explosives on the staircase.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's got like whatever with him. And so what I'm thinking is that if he can try to set them over top of wherever he had sensed these orcs, and then remove himself to a safe distance, and then using his he's got a talent called Signal Booster. I can try to maybe interact with them at a distance and just get them to actually do what they were made to do, which is to actually explode. So that was sort of my idea. If that's all right.
I like it. I love it. Give me a difficulty 3 insight test to properly place them on the roof above where the roof is weak enough to be penetrated and above the orcs.
Would tech make sense? Like insight's fellowship. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'll go with
makes-
tech's fine. Tech's okay.
Okay. All right. Difficulty 3?
Yeah.
All right. That is 6 successes. With 1 shift.
What would you like to do with the shift?
I would like to improve the quality of
Okay.
the effect of the explosion and whatnot.
I love it. Okay, so you've got them placed. You've pulled back. Let's go ahead and let's activate these. So there's no real role necessary with this. I think your skill, your talent is what it is. You set them beautifully. So what you all hear are this massive explosion on the roof, bringing the roof down. Now the roof is higher than the rafters, so the explosion itself does not directly impact the orcs that are up there, but they all get hit by falling debris.
There we
I
go.
need them to make some agility tests to see how they handle this. And I'm going to make it a little bit more difficult because they're getting hit with debris from above.
to carry forward the baseball metaphors, I'm trying to tee up Wigbert and Sister Nura insult.
Okay. That's a fail.
Successfully.
While Aaron's
Teed up.
rolling. Thank you, Bert. Steam still a murder for the raid. We're blowing up the roof of a monastery on the heads of a bunch of orcs that are
not a
sitting inside.
difficulty
Very fun.
53. It's just supposed to be 5, but it's still
Ooh.
a complication. So, also a failure. And the last.
And on top of Wigbert's head, maybe, but maybe he was in a corner. Maybe he's in a pew.
Okay. So
Minor
what
details.
happens is, Wigbert, you're looking up and you see the roof just explode downwards. You hear this huge thump, and just a section of the roof comes falling down, and you hear, "Oh boy!" And the rafters, you see some of the beams in the rafters break, and you see 4 bodies and a bunch of debris from the roof fall from the rafters and strike the ground. And let's see how they are set up. However, they all hit with a meaty thump, and there's some busted bones. You see Wigbert, you see one's got a rib sticking out. You see another hit so hard on his face that an eyeball popped out. The other 2 are clearly have broken bones, but the 4 of them struggle to their feet, slap one another on the back. "Oh, it's fun, boys. But somebody's trying to crump us. There's gotta be humies around. Maybe some more monks to chew on. Let's get them, boys." And you see 2 of these beaten, bloody, broken orcs are surging towards the double doors leading out. And then 2 are heading deeper into the nave. Wigbert, what do? You see these 2 broken orcs. They have not seen you. They are now moving past your position and heading directly to the double door.
I'm going to follow close behind and get a strike off.
I like it. So this is an ambush. So what that means is you get +2 to your attack roll, and you get +2 extra dice to the damage. And their defense is 2, so that's your difficulty number.
So I'm attacking with my Death Cult Power Blades. And I have a talent
Sorry about
called...
that. I had a 120-pound dog knocking at my door.
So I do have a talent called Eliminator. When I strike from the shadows using surprise, I can add my stealth score as ED.
Your what is ED?
My stealth score?
Okay. So what you need to do first then is roll your stealth. So it's stealth score. It's on the left-hand side of the combat tab.
That's 11.
Jesus. Okay.
Oh my God.
So
Oh my gosh.
look at that. He got freaking 4 6s, a 5, and 2 4s, and only 1 dice was not a success. It's nuts. Okay, so 11 plus the 2 from the ambush. So you get +2 to your attack and +13 extra dice on the strike on one of these orc commandos. I think he might be in trouble.
Just maybe.
Maybe. Okay, 6 successes, 1 possible shift. You can either shift that to glory or for more damage. It's
Let's
up
send it
to
to
you.
glory.
I think that's a good idea. Okay, roll damage and add in your 11. So if you got it, okay. 22 damage, 8 2. Okay, so describe what it looks like when you utterly destroy this orc from hiding.
As the eruption comes apart, the roof collapses. He runs past me. I just slither behind him in his shadow without him knowing. Pop it with my death blade and just cut him to pieces.
Okay. So the power blades cut through the back of this orc, and you literally you go into him, and you strike so deep and so fast that it bisects his body, and his legs, because orcs don't know when to die, continue to run forward a few steps as his torso just flops down on the ground, and he looks up at you with this completely confused look on his face. No, no more crumping for me. And he falls over. But his buddy turns around with his big chopper and is going to take a swing at you. Now, I will say this. Yes, that you guys have the option to seize the initiative if you would like.
Yeah, that's I want to seize the initiative.
So you spend a point of glory, seize the initiative. You see all this happen. I mean, it's horrifying, but amazing at the same time. And you see this other orc turn. This one has 2 ribs sticking out of his sides, almost like additional small arms from where he's completely fractured his rib cage. But he's turning with a large hatchet to swing at Wigbert.
Yeah, I'm gonna shoot at him.
Difficulty 2. If you don't move, you can take the aim action, and you can click that aim box if you want, and that'll give you an extra die to your attack, if you want.
Where is aim on here when I clicked on my oh, there it is. Perfect.
All right, 3 successes.
I don't know
hit.
what it says DN4. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you could change the D in that. You should be able to roll damage.
Because you're feared still, it might add 1 to the difficulty.
That would be it, yeah.
Okay.
It says damage base is 7 for this weapon.
I wonder why it didn't roll.
I clicked the last pistol that I just dragged over.
I'll look into that later. But yeah, so it's base 7 plus how many ED?
It says 1 ED.
Okay, so just roll a D6.
One.
Okay, so you did 7 points of damage. So but it's enough. I mean, this horribly injured orc, as he turns back to face Wigbert, you pull into the nave and fire at him. Tell us how you take this orc out.
Sister Celeste has knowledge of people's bodies, and she knows where vital organs and such are, and she aims for the neck to get the largest artery that she can, and it just unfortunately does explode towards Wigbert, so he does get a splash of blood all over him. But that's how she subdues this guy.
And you do, and so he drops. This laser burns through the back of his skull and burns even through the thick skull of an orc head. This laser burns a slow hole out the front, cauterized right between his eyes, and that's enough. Normally, the laser might not be able to take out an orc, but he does. He stops for a second. He looks at Wigbert. He turns and he looks back at you. Homies, no fair. Boom, falls over. But the 2 orcs that ran deeper into the nave stop and turn back, seeing what's just happened. One of them raises a slugger to fire at Sister Celeste. What is your defense?
My defense 1.
Mm-hmm. 1?
Is that right?
It could be.
My Seritis armor has a rating of 5.
That's your resilience. That'll go into your
Got it.
resilience.
Okay,
Your
yeah.
defense is...
Then my defense is 1.
Okay. Oh, Wrath critical. That's not good. Okay, so he pulls the slug up one-handed, gangster style, just boom, and this large caseless round. It's not a bolt gun, but it's a large caseless round coming at you. So let's roll some damage. Might not get through your resilience. 11 points of damage. So what's your resilience?
My resilience is 8.
That's 8. Okay, so 3 points get through. You will take 3 wounds, but you can roll determination to shift those wounds to shock if you would prefer. Or depending on how many successes you get with your determination roll.
I don't, because I have 1 shock already, and my max shock is 4.
You should have 0 shock. You guys would. You guys. Oh no, that's right. You got 1 shock
feared.
earlier. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. It's up to you. You can take the wounds if you want. You can roll determination.
Try to push some off.
Okay. So you got 2 successes. So you take 1 wound.
Okay.
And you've got 3 shock right now.
Got it.
But let's roll that wrath critical and see what happens. The attack sears into the foe, fusing flesh into a charred ruin. The assault wreaths the target in burning fury, making a smoldering mess of sinew and bone.
Yikes.
Oh no.
Okay. You take 3 wounds. And you're on fire.
On fire.
You're on fire. So this is going to be fun. We haven't had anybody on fire before, so let's look up what it means to be on fire.
So,
I'm pretty sure it's bad.
Yeah,
You
and
can
the
click on it right in
wounds
Foundry.
puts me at max wounds.
Right in the chat window, there's you can click on where it says
there
on
it is.
fire.
1d3 mortal wounds at the
wounds. So you
start of
can't
each of your
soak
turns.
those, yeah. Somebody should put her out of
Stop, drop, and roll. Sister Celeste, stop, drop, and roll.
Like Aaron's like, someone should put her out of her misery.
No.
Quick stab by Wigbert. She's done.
So you have 0 wounds at the moment, or you've taken all of your wounds?
So with this Crimson Ash, you said I take 3 or 4 wounds. 3 wounds.
You
so
take
that puts
3
me
wounds.
at 4 out of 4 wounds.
Okay, so you've got 0 remaining wounds. You've hit your
Yes.
maximum wound threshold. Okay, so you're dying.
Yay.
Which is a bummer. But that means we get to roll on another interesting table. So let's pull up your memorable injury table. So we go to the tables in the core rule book.
Okay, so you're dying.
It's just so go to the memorable injuries. I'll let you roll it. It's in the tables of the core rule book.
If she dies, she turns to me and goes, "It should have been you."
Or you can just roll a d6 and I can tell you what it is.
Yeah.
It's just a d6. So.
I'll just do a d6. 4.
A 4. 4, you've got a broken jaw. So I think what happens is the round comes through, it cracks through your armor, and hits some of the electrical circuitry that, gives you that servo strength in your power armor. Catches the inside of your armor on fire, and parts of your armor fragment up and shatter your jaw. So you've got a broken jaw. You're dying. You're not unconscious, so you can crawl and things like that. But what happens is every round, if you take additional damage, say from being on fire, you then get traumatic injuries. And if your traumatic injuries equal your rank and tier, I believe, that's when you truly die. So it would definitely be in somebody's best interest to put Sister Celeste out of fire before it gets around to the start of her next turn. You can yourself throw yourself prone on your turn and roll around and attempt to extinguish the fire. It's a difficulty 3 athletics test. If you succeed, you're no longer on fire, but that would be your turn, and you take the damage at the beginning of your turn. So it's better if somebody puts you out before that.
Yeah, Sister Nura is going to take care of Sister Celeste.
Let me do it because you do more damage than me. So let me do it. I'll put her out while you're the sister
you
of battle.
best succeed at this.
Okay. Well, it's back to your guys' turn. You've got the 2 orcs. One was standing there and shot. The other one is charging down the nave towards you, Sister Nura. What do you do?
And so Sister Nura looks at Gavious.
You're getting the bird's eye view of this entire battle. And it's a thing.
I'm so proud.
Sister Nura is going to trust Gavious It's kind of like I'll roll leadership when it's my turn, and then not rolling leadership when it's his turn. So hopefully this time he will actually put Sister Celeste out.
I'll roll fire blanket on my turn, I promise.
Okay.
You should roll leadership on the fire. You go out right now. Just try to talk it.
You guys want this is what you want me to do. You've been telling me to do
You
this.
said to roll leadership. It's not listening to me. It's like it's got a mind of its own.
I'm all mixed up.
Okay, so I am going to. So would I be able to shoot the bolt gun and aim, or am I going to have to move in order to not take kind of like a range?
No, you're within your range.
Okay.
You're within medium range of these two orcs, so you can definitely take the aim action if you want. Now the question is, do you want to shoot at the one who just shot Sister Celeste, or do you want to shoot at the one that's charging down the nave towards probably Gavious in a minute?
Vengeance will be mine.
I love it. Sister of Battle.
Vengeance might be mine after a reroll.
My God.
Currently, vengeance is not mine.
You have wrath left? I would definitely use some wrath. That was a terrible roll.
I know. One success for
One success.
everyone.
Dice.
Let's try this again. 7 successes.
That's much better. Much better. And you did get
and
a
one
possible
possible
shift.
shift.
So you can use that for
That's my
extra
girl.
damage if you want, or whatever.
Yes.
You definitely hit. Let's roll some damage.
All right. Roll damage. Wait, why did that only roll? Okay.
Because it's got a base
13.
damage and then So describe what it looks like when you exact your holy revenge against this Xeno scum.
And so she is just kind of looking at Sister Celeste, just sort of shocked that she just sort of like burst into flames, and then looks back at Gavious and is a little bit hopeful and worried about what's going to happen with that. And so she basically just says, this will not pass. You have done enough here. This will come to an end. Then she just fires her bolt gun and destroys this work.
Exactly, and these they're rockets basically, and this explosive rocket round strikes it dead center in the chest, and it looks down and it tries to reach its clawed fingers in right before the bolt explodes, and then you hear this thump, and then just gore flies everywhere, and his arms just fall off to the side as his torso explodes, and his head kind of rolls down the nave, and it looks like he's still trying to talk to you, but without lungs, it's not very effective until his eyes finally roll back up in his head, because orcs don't know when to die. But that brings us around to the other orc, who is now charging down towards Sister Celeste and Gavious, unless somebody wants to seize the initiative. But
Gavious.
Celeste is Gavious, so
Yeah, seize the initiative.
Okay, so spend a point of glory. I'll take care of it for you, and you get to go. What do you want to do?
So he's coming for us. So it's either put out the flames or defend myself.
Well, you don't know. He may not stop at you, but yes. So basically, at the end of your action, then the orc is going to go, and then Sister Celeste is going to take a D3 mortal wounds.
Yeah, so I'll use my turn to put her out.
Okay.
I don't know if there's anything else I can do after that.
DN3 athletics test.
Did Sister Nura notice your hesitation and thought before you?
Okay.
Somebody's going to get the Emperor's Mercy here in a second.
upper right hand corner, Sister Nura will remember this.
Well, hold on. That would have been bad though, because I only have 2 athletics, so I would have failed that either way, no matter what.
It wouldn't be good. But what I'm going to do for you here is, because she would be trying to help you. I'm gonna reduce the DN on that, and it's gonna take Celeste's next action. So her basically she's taking the total defense kind of action. she's going to assist you in putting the fire out, because when you're dying, you're not unconscious. You can take a simple combat action. You can withdraw. You can do a simple movement action. So I'm going to let her use her next turn to aid you in putting her fire out, and you're able to put the fire out.
Okay. All right.
Bringing this back.
Yeah, there's nothing else I can do, right? Okay.
You could do a multi-action where you do multiple actions, but that increases the difficulty of each action by 2, which
All right,
means
so I
you
just-
would not have successfully put the fire out,
Yeah.
even with her aid. So you hear this orc coming running down at you. And then you feel this crushing weight as its boot strikes you on the back, pushing you down into Celeste's body as you're patting the fire out, using you as a vault to launch himself at Sister Nura, who he considers to be the only worthy Humi here to fight, because orcs like a challenge. And so, Sister Nura, you see this flying orc coming at you with a big choppa in its hand, and he's screaming, "Whoa! Thank you, Humi, for the fight!" And he swings. What's your defense?
3.
Okay, let's see how this goes. 5 successes and a possible shift. So we're gonna roll some damage. He's gonna take that shift as extra damage.
Sister Nura turns up her nose at this.
I have no doubt. She's pretty resilient. $12 damage. What's your resilience?
10.
10. So you take 2 wounds, or you can roll determination and try to soak that into shock.
I'm rolling determination. 2 successes.
2 successes. Okay, so 3 successes. So you're able to take that all as shock.
Okay, sorry, that was
If
3 shock.
3 shock.
3 shock. Okay, that works.
What was your
shock.
resilience? What was your resilience
10.
again? 10. 2 shock. You only take
2 shock.
2 shocks. You only took 2. Would have taken 2 damage. Sorry. You got 3
Nice.
successes, but you were able to mitigate both wounds to shock.
Yeah, and like it's just like flying through the air and like all like talking smack and everything, and she just sort of stands ready with the gun and kind of just steps a little bit to the side, basically.
And as it's flying by, almost in slow motion, it turns its head and gives you the most curious look. Like, Humies aren't supposed to get out of the way of an orc. And it goes clattering on the ground. It skids. It lands and skids on its feet because it doesn't go prone. If you'd gotten a wrath critical, I'd let him gone prone. But or if he got a wrath failure, I let him go prone. But he just slides past you, having just shocked your system. So basically, your system goes into overload to get out of that way, and that kind of just is the adrenaline spike shocks you up. That brings us back to the start of the round. Sister Celeste is not on fire, but she's dying. Sister Nura is standing tall. Wigbert has completely bisected one. Gavious saves Sister Celeste's life with her aid. Birk's on top of the cathedral. There is one orc left. Who wants to go?
I mean, Sister Nura's like right here. If that's okay, she can just sort of like hold the bolt gun out. I guess he's kind of right there and continue to avenge the awfulness done upon her fellow sister. Oh, I didn't aim that time.
It's still enough. They've got pretty low defense, so
It's only 2 successes though, so I'm gonna need to. I can spend a.
I mean, their defense
Glory?
is only 2.
Oh, okay,
Yes, you hit.
okay. It's not giving me the option to roll damage though, because I didn't change the
What's
target
the
number.
damage on the bolt gun?
10.
10. What's the ED on it?
1.
So just roll 1d6.
6.
More damage. Okay, so you do 12 points of damage to this already horribly injured orc. So describe how the second horrible death happens to your bolt gun, to your holy.
So I'm kind of imagining that she'd kind of like stepped out of the way, but there was kind of the whole kind of shock to kind of her, which sort of kind of spun her a little bit. But to his dismay, I'm sure landed her exactly where she's just kind of straight targeting right where he sort of landed. And I'd like to imagine that she almost like takes a step forward, so she is just like there is no way that she is possibly missing this, and it's just sort of that kind of shooting daggers, so to speak, kind of with the eyes, as she just doesn't even say anything and just sort of shakes her head and just kind of lets go with the bolt gun.
That's exactly. So he skids, you kind of turn and you take a one step forward and you push your bolt gun right into his open mouth as he's getting ready to scream war at you. You give him that look, his eyes go wide, and he kind of gives you a half smile as you blow his head into a fine mist of greenish gray blood. At that, Brother Ricard, the monk, pulls himself through the door, covered in blood from the weeping building, holds his finger up, and gives you that frightened look that says, shh, without making a noise. And that's where we're going to stop for tonight, as we've made our entrance into the silent monastery of St. Hephaestium, and we've run across some orcs.
And Celeste is dying.
Orcs are the best.
There's definitely going to be some healing needed here to get Sister Celeste back on her feet. Sadly, she's your best healer, but we'll see how it goes. So please, once again, join us in 2 more weeks as we dive deeper into the Vow of Silence adventure of the Litanies of the Lost, and we see how our team of troubleshooters handle an orc invasion of a monastery. See if they can root out the traitors within the monastery while dealing with the orcs, and find the thigh bone of St. Hephaestium and try to stay alive. That's all I've got for tonight. Jeff, I'm turning it back over to you, sir.
All right. What else we got? So, well, you want to plug some stuff from Garblag? What you got going on next week?
Absolutely. Thanks for reminding me. So next week, if you want to check out Garblag Games on Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Millie will be back running her long-standing Free League Coriolis game. Her campaign's been going on forever. It's fantastic, a lot of fun. Then on Wednesday, I'll be jumping in the narrator's seat, and we'll be continuing our Marvel Multiverse Cataclysm of Kang adventure. We're took a couple weeks off for the holidays, but we're going to be back for the Rank 2 adventure, The Friendly Neighborhood. So we'll see how our British superhero team of Operation Pendragon handle 2023 after having come from 1943. And then on Thursday, you can join the great Garblag himself. Pete is going to be running his own game, Heroic Deeds. It's kind of an old school feel with some modern mechanics as he runs a group of players through the Red Hand of Doom classic adventure.
Fantastic. As for us, tomorrow's our next game. Come hang out. A bunch of us here are going to be playing some Call of Cthulhu. We are continuing our Eternal Lies campaign that we had started up earlier in the month. So come hang out. We're in Savannah in the 1930s. It's a lot of fun. On Monday, we are back to Fragged Empire. If you want to see more space sci-fi shenanigans, that's Monday. Tuesday, you can see Aaron, myself, and Melissa as we are playing through Marvel Multiverse role-playing game, doing our X-Men themed campaign, School's Out. And then next Thursday, we'll be back to Werewolf the Apocalypse. And that's what we got going on. So thanks for everyone hanging out tonight. Thanks to Steam Still Murder for the raid. We're going to go ahead and pay that forward. We're going to raid our buddies over at the Defenders of Cobalt who are running through some Anvia right now. So follow the raid. Go check us out on YouTube, Adventures in Lollygagging. Otherwise, have a great rest of your night. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.